Hello again, everybody. Ben Jarofsky here. We're calling this new kid on the block Thursday, and here's why. Because I got Kat Abughazaleh on the show with me today. She's running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, and she is the new kid on the block. She's running against Shan Schakowsky. Man, that is some trippy stuff. Let's just keep that in there because it shows how my brain is working today. Shan Schakowsky, who's been around, well, not quite as long as I've been around, but she's been around a long time. So, and I'm just going to say this, Kat, before I bring you on. Anytime in the city of Chicago, you're kind of new to Chicago, so I'm going to explain to you how Chicago works, the Chicago mentality. And when you come on, you feel free to defend Chicagoans and defend the 9th Congressional District voters. I want you to defend them because I'm about to assail and assault them right now. So anytime, Kat, anyone new dares to step out and challenge an incumbent in Chicago, man, they come after her or him. And Keena Collins is a regular on this show. She ran against Danny K. Davis in the 7th Congressional District. She knows you're too young. Wait your turn. I love Danny. Chicagoans have this love. Samina Mustafa, this is before your time, Kat. She was, my humble opinion, maybe pound for pound, the greatest congressional candidate the city of Chicago has ever had, and the suburban area. She ran against Mike Quigley, 5th Congressional District, back in 2018, I want to say, Kat, and she lost. They were like, how dare you? How dare you run against our congressman? We love our congressman. This is all a way of introducing the fact I was reading, where was it? It was Capitol Facts about your announcement. I think it was yesterday it dropped. I don't know, whenever it dropped in Capitol Facts, Rich Miller's blog about politics and all that. Man, they were coming at you. They were like, oh, she's just running to promote her TikTok career. Oh, she's just running because she wants to be on Rachel Maddow's show. I'm Billy Bob from Palatine, and I just got to say, how dare she run against Jan Schakowsky? Anyway, man, Chicagoans, you guys are so predictable, and you suburbanites are just the same. You're so freaking predictable. You don't want any change. You complain about Donald Trump, and then somebody rises with a new idea. Well, let's listen to the new idea about running against Donald Trump and what Democrats should do to defy the MAGA movement. No, you're like, how dare she? All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Welcome to the show, Kat.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
All right. So, first of all, before we get started, this is your first run for office. So do you disagree with anything I just say about the mentality of Chicagoans and suburbanites? Do you think I'm being unfair to them? Do you think they're more open-minded than I give them credit for? Go.
I do think you're being unfair. I don't even think this is a Chicago thing. I think it's just like a part of our politics, especially with a two-party system. It's this, our public officials have somehow conditioned us, like myself included, to think that once they're in office, they deserve your vote for eternity. Like that's their position. And, you know, I loved that Jan Schakowsky's response to my announcement was like, I encourage everyone to be in the democratic process. And, you know, if I decide to run, I'll win. Like, I think primaries should be more competitive. I don't blame people for being skeptical of me. This isn't to, you know, promote my TikTok. Frankly, I had other career plans this year that would be a lot easier, but you know, I don't blame people for being skeptical. All I ask is you keep an open mind and you watch me, because I think that this district, I was already, you know, we moved to Chicago on, you know, short notice last year, a transplant like a lot of people in this city. And in this district, you know, such a big percentage is foreign born, which is awesome. Like it's this really historically progressive district. We were planning to move there. And I also think that this type of campaign that I want to run, that's kind of a new type of way to spend, you know, campaign dollars and try to reinvest in the community and fill in gaps that Trump has purposely left with cuts. I can't imagine a better district to run that type of campaign in. There are so many incredible like mutual aid groups and, you know, progressive initiatives and people helping each other out and being really civically and politically engaged. So all I ask is, you know, we got a year from now till the primary, and that's on purpose. You know, I want you to get to know me and just watch me.
All right, very good. Based on that, I humbly apologize to all voters in the 9th Congressional District for the disparaging remarks I made about you. You're not as close-minded as I said. Yes, you are. Anyway, Kat, I'm just trying to be nice to your voters. All right,
I
so
appreciate it.
you're new to the district. You're new to the city of Chicago. You're running in the 9th Congressional. It's absolutely a contradiction of pretty much the playbook that has been established in congressional politics in this area, where people generally invest a lot of time in office, lower offices, and then they get their moment to run for Congress, which gets them out of Chicago. Because most Congress people, what they want more than anything is to get out of Cook County politics or Chicago politics or even Evanston politics. So that's why they run for Congress. And here you are at age, let me do the math, hold on, 26, and you're running for Congress. You're trying to, in their minds, you're jumping ahead of them all. So why did you select the 9th Congressional? Why did you select Chicago? Go ahead. Or excuse me, Evanston. It's more, the 9th Congressional is a more suburban based, and Evanston is sort of the heart and soul of it. It goes out into other suburbs as well. So why this area?
Yeah, like I said, we moved to Chicago on really short notice last year and just kind of picked the first decent furnished apartment we could find that was like near public transit. So I am literally a bus stop away from Andersonville, which is where like a lot of our friends live and where we spent a lot of our time and where we were planning on moving this year anyways, before I even thought about running for office. So part of it is literally just I'm planning on living there, and I think it's a really cool area. And but also, once again, I think that there is this awesome opportunity to try something new. I hate the idea that you have to wait in line to be in public office, that you need to be like anointed. I don't necessarily like, this isn't a referendum on Jan Schakowsky. She has been one of the most progressive members of Congress and has done a lot of great work. But the fact that there hasn't been a competitive primary in this district since before I was born is insane. I don't think it's bad. You don't have to vote for me. I want to earn your vote. I am not asking you right now to commit, pledge your allegiance, your fealty to my campaign. But I think a lot of us, there's, this kind of gasp, like pearl clutching moment of, well, there are other people that could do this. And sure, I hope they run too. And honestly, I've just released a video actually saying, if you want to run for office in this race, like DM me. I want to help you make that happen. But you can't just keep waiting around for people to come in and swoop in. Just because someone is the incumbent doesn't necessarily mean they are entitled to that position. Just because someone has been waiting in line doesn't mean they're necessarily the best candidate. That's for voters to decide. Mm-hmm. And we're really all we've got now. This is a lot of our priorities and our plans and our ideas and our decisions for life changed after the election, after the presidential election. And this is kind of how my life changed. I just got sick of waiting around.
Well, how will we, the voters, benefit from having? Let's assume. The assumption with this question is that Jan Schakowsky will run for re-election. As soon as you announced you were running, everybody, all the so-called insiders were telling me, Ben, Jan's not really going to run. Kat is just jumping into the race to head off all the others who were. I'm telling you, man, there are a bunch of yentas yapping and gossiping in this town and this district. I'm telling you that right now, Kat. You've never seen anything like it. So how will we? Whether Jan Schakowsky runs or not, how will we, the people, benefit from having her be contested in a Democratic primary? Go ahead.
I mean, I think there's the very basic part of like, you have another option. You have, another voice that you can listen to or that you can, vote for or whatever. But we are also trying something almost entirely new. I am sick. My background is I watched essentially like Fox News every night for a living, for a job, and monitored far-right narratives and reported on them. I have seen so many political campaigns, like the very nitty-gritty, just watching it constantly. And the amount of money that gets wasted on, the frivolous expenditures and things like that, but also say $100K on a Hyatt ballroom for some rich donors, things like that. It disgusts me, frankly. I have 4 digits in my bank account there has to be a better way to use this money. And so what we're trying to do is meet those tangible needs. So like I said, I want people to come and meet me this weekend. We are having our first public event, and we're not going to charge for any of our public events. We are having an entry fee, and people who are listening, I'm using air quotes there. That fee is you need to bring a box of tampons, pads, or liners, and those are all going to be collected and donated to the Period Collective here in Chicago, which provides period products to shelters and other organizations. There are ways we can do like tangible good, really focus on the community. I want so much of this money to just directly benefit people. If you're listening to this and you have a community group or some type of initiative that you want to spearhead, email us. We would love to help. And we are not asking for your endorsement. We are not asking for like an official partnership or anything. But there is so much of this money, and like what better way to use it if you want to be cynical as like a campaign strategy because you're directly interacting with constituents. But from just like a very moral part or like a common sense part, what better way to use it than on tangible goods and not just lip service or a vanity project?
All right. You mentioned that you've studied the right from your last job. And I also read articles about you. You're from the right of sorts. You're from Texas. So as an old guy looking to give advice to young people, I'm like, oh, you should totally betray all of whatever values you have and sell out. And you could be making way more money if you were on the right. If you could be the next Marjorie Taylor Greene, and they would love you.
I would make so much money, man.
You make so much money. Oh my goodness. All those bad things that they're saying about you now on Rich Miller's thing, they'd be like, oh, she's the future. I've seen the future. Her name is Kat. So why is it that you have not embraced the right? You come from the right. That's your family's background in Texas, and you studied it. You studied it for Media Matters. So you probably know it as well as anyone. Why aren't you of the right? Go ahead.
I like halfway through high school, we moved to Arizona, and Dallas is very segregated by income and race and like all of these factors. So I had never really been exposed to poverty on a wide scale, at least like in the United States. And we moved to Tucson, Arizona, where income is much lower. And that is apparent in a lot more places. And for the first time, I was like, oh, wow, I have classmates who are smarter or, better equipped to go to this college or do this program or apply to this thing, but they can't because they can't afford to. And it was like that, it just like I got a chink in this armor that you get from like conservative brainwashing. I mean, it's propaganda works for a lot of people. And if you're subject to it as a child, how are you supposed to know something or ask about something that you aren't even aware exists? So after that, I started questioning things, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't really align with my values. My parents did the same. Trump was really like a wake-up call on that. I couldn't vote in that election. I was like a few months short, but no one in my family did, in my immediate family.
Wait,
and
no
then
one in your family voted, or no one in your family
voted for Trump? Yeah,
okay.
my parents were like, no. But it's and like since then, it's icky. I could be a Fox like co-host within, I'd say, 6 months if I logged off right here and started ranting about cancel culture and woke and DEI on Twitter. But that just doesn't sit right with me. I would rather be not rich and live by like what I think is right and cool and fun instead of catering to these I shouldn't say the word I want to say.
I'm trying to guess what the word is. But just give me the first initial of the word.
D.
Ooh. Oh, I think I know what the word is, but I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. So what are some of the characteristics? Explain to folks what you did for Media Matters and what are some of the lessons you learned about the tricks of the trade that MAGA performs in order to advance their cause.
Yeah, so at Media Matters, which is a progressive watchdog, especially of like misinformation, especially right-wing misinformation, because that's where a lot of it is. I was on our team that was rapid response at night. So we watched Fox News from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. My specialty was Tucker Carlson and The Five. you just kind of get like this, your brain chemistry kind of changes. You know how London cabbies, when they start studying for their exam and they get like new neural pathways, it's the most cursed version of that for me. The main things that I learned and that I've noticed is just Democrats are always on their back foot. Republicans set the agenda for everyone. And it's like the most nonsense BS stuff. You know, complaining about trans kids all the time. There are more kids in Texas with measles right now than trans athletes in our colleges. Like, why aren't we talking about that? And so I think like the biggest thing is just Democrats need to stop reacting. They need to be acting, not reacting. In addition, it's this when you don't have literacy in this topic or like a basic understanding, not even to my degree, because if you know all I know about Tucker Carlson, it's no one should be exposed to that. But having just a basic understanding of like conspiracy theories and how fascists build arguments. I mean, for example, the attacks on trans people, this is right out of the fascist playbook. We saw this in Nazi Germany. It was one of the first official acts the Nazis did once they took power, was burn down the Library of Sexuality Studies in Berlin, and then persecute any of the transgender and queer people that were there. A lot of Democrats, like Gavin Newsom, for instance, are now walking back any support of trans people because, I don't know, they want to be liked by Steve Bannon, or they're scared they're going to lose a voter that's never going to vote for them. It makes no sense to me. If you actually wanted to appeal to conservative voters, you would be doing the type of outreach that my campaign wants to do, because it's when they are voting, they're going to remember who tried to provide support after Trump fired them from their federal job. They are going to remember who helped them find healthcare, find a clinic, try to subsidize, their prescription costs after Trump cut Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to mean so much more than trying to cosplay as what you think conservative voters are.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to push back a little bit. I completely agree with everything you say, but I'm going to put myself in the mind of a baby boomer voter in the 9th Congressional District. So hold on. I got to move. I'm in the mind. Okay, I'm going to move past their Led Zeppelin records that they keep up there. And so we've been talking a lot about this on this show, about how the MAGA has used the trans issues and stirring up fear of trans people and hatred toward them, and how it has successfully, as you pointed out, like pushed Democrats to adopt that. And Gavin Newsom is absolutely one. And the other one is a gentleman from Chicago whose name is Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of the city of Chicago. And he went on the Bill Maher show and made a typically stupid and awkward Rahm joke, because all his jokes are stupid and awkward because he doesn't know how to tell a joke. It's okay, Rahm. Not everybody can tell a joke, so you shouldn't even try. And Maher was laughing because they all make fun and mock and malign trans people. That's what Bill Maher's been doing for the last couple of years, and Rahm was jumping aboard it. And the attitude is, if we join this chorus that's assailing and assaulting the most vulnerable people in our country, then we cannot be accused of being woke. And we will win over voters who would never, ever think of voting for us previously. And this is our strategy, and this is our tactic. And we don't care if it hurts people who are vulnerable, and we don't care if it contradicts what we were saying a year ago. This is all about getting voters. And I want to know, do you think that they are correct, the Rahm Emanuels and the Bill Mahers and the Gavin Newsoms of the world, that the way to get voters is to assail and assault the people who are most vulnerable? Do you think baby boomers in the 9th Congressional District agree with the Bill Maher, Rahm Emanuel, Gavin Newsom strategy?
I mean, I highly doubt it, because this is, it's appeasement to do this. It doesn't work. As a former Republican, as someone that grew up, not just Republican, like my grandmother was a GOP operative. We were very entrenched in Texas Republican politics. You will not out Republican a Republican. And it's idiotic when, someone talks about go on the back foot on trans issues, and then they're shocked that Bill Maher or Greg Gutfeld or whoever is complaining that they're too woke on the race issues, or they're too woke on the maternity issues or whatever. It's appalling. It's never going to work. And I frankly, just based on even their current representatives' views, I think that this is a district that understands the risk that we're in and understands that once the trans people are gone, who's next? Like, this is home to one of the gayest neighborhoods in Chicago. It doesn't stop at the T in the LGBTQ plus whatever they want to say. It doesn't stop at the T. It doesn't stop at the gays, the lesbians, the bisexuals. They will eventually, you will be in their sights. And if you don't hold the line now, no one's going to be there to hold the line for you when it's your time.
So you're going to stick to your guns, even if you don't think it'll get you votes, because it's the right thing to do. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And I don't think that that's the way to get votes. Like I said, I mean, if there are red voters in the district, I genuinely want to talk to them, especially, further out west. Like, I want to go out there because I understand there are a lot of people that vote red because they think they're being responsible. Like, I, wrote an op-ed in my high school newspaper about how Marco Rubio was the future of the Republican Party, like my sophomore year. I understand that thought of, you want to be the adult in the room. And when you're there's a reason that all of these propaganda apparatus all exist, and it's to subject people to propaganda. And so I'd hope that our outreach efforts, even if they don't agree with me, even if they don't vote for me, they can talk to me. I'll be here to listen. We can work through issues, and no matter what, I'm still going to try to find ways for my campaign to help them, voting for me or not.
No, you actually believe that you can convince a MAGA person to vote for anyone other than MAGA?
Yeah, it depends on the person. I mean, there are plenty of people that voted for Trump in 2016, but not now. I've actually had emails from people that are like, I vote Republican in the last election because I was just sick of the Democrats or whatever. And I see that you're giving a middle finger to the establishment. I can't wait to vote for you. Let me know how I can help you canvass, from people that say they're Republicans. And I think I think a lot of it is this, they, pit people against each other, left and right, red and blue. But a lot of it is just like this abandoning of the working class. And the working class isn't just guys working in the factory anymore or going into the coal mines. The working class is everyone who can't afford to miss a paycheck or two. If that would cause you severe stress, you're not wealthy. You are the working class. That's gig workers. That's people driving for Uber. That's people delivering packages for Amazon. That is people that are in coal mines or doing manufacturing, but it's also people in the service industry. It's also people working online that are doing these hourly jobs. The working class has expanded so much, and both parties have left it behind. And I think that that's how you win over, MAGA voters. It's not saying, oh, hey, I'm anti-woke now. Oh, I can, wear a flannel and hold an axe. It's saying, hey, both of these parties have been abandoning us. Yeah. One of them is pretending that they care about you, but they don't. The other one is pretending they kind of care about you, still unclear, but they don't. Let's try to build something new.
All right. I want you to talk about sort of this notion that is in the brains of Democrats, and get your thoughts on this. And I think there's a certain kind of like schizo attitude that Democrats have. And on one hand, and I'm surrounded, just so you know, Kat, I'm surrounded by Democrats. They're everywhere in my life.
I mean,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they've been in my life forever. Like you talk about growing up in Texas. I know about your grandmother. She was a Republican operative, big time Republican operative, like hanging out with the Bushes type of Republican operative. I'm like, there was nobody in my family remotely like that. My mother would have been cursing out your grandmother. Okay.
Your mom sounds awesome.
May she rest in peace. Yeah, she was awesome. But Dems are schizo. On one hand, they're always like, stand up to Trump. And then if you stand up too much, they're like, oh no, you're being too aggressive. You got to be pragmatic. And I invented something here in Chicago. I'm not making this up. They call it pragmatic progressives. I don't know how, whatever. I don't know how you be a pragmatic progressive. It's like a contradiction in term. So your thoughts about pragmatic progressives and Democrats who say, no, you got to learn to cooperate with Trump. You got to learn how to play Trump. And that's how the game is played. Go ahead, Kat.
I mean, I would say like maybe they're onto something if they didn't lose to him twice and like one, squeaked by because of a pandemic, a global pandemic. You guys haven't been successful in this. Like you are batting, not great. Your average here is not great. And currently he's walking all over you. So like, why should we listen to you? The reality is there is no magic moment that's going to come up in a movie like, you're just going to defeat fascism. It's the climax. Life is not a movie. Life is a series of nonsense events that just happen one after the other to like 8 billion people. And so when it comes to the fascism in our country, you have to publicly resist that. This is a huge problem of just being like normalizing it. I do think, there are legislative priorities that maybe we can get through with some cooperative Republicans. That we had like the CHIPS Act that apparently is bad now, but I bet if that was being drafted this year, it would have passed with both parties. But like there are a lot of good things that we probably couldn't get through in this administration. You don't need to cooperate with them, especially when I used to have this joke in my stand-up in college where I would say, if 50% of people want to exterminate all racial minorities and the other 50% of people don't want to exterminate any racial minorities, you don't compromise and exterminate half the racial minorities. That's not how that works. And so when you are resisting fascism, this is a historical precedent. We know how to do this. People in my line of work, like we have been screaming about this for years. You have to do it loudly, proudly, and every single day. The people that are standing outside, the Tesla showroom, it's pissing Elon Musk off. And it also shows that this isn't normal. People feel insane because they're saying, I lost my job or my neighbor got disappeared by the government for having an autism awareness tattoo. That's not normal. And by not resisting it and not talking about it and not saying this is fucked up, Democrats are pretending that, or at least lending to the idea that it's okay. And we need voters to know that they're not abandoned. And if voters feel abandoned, even if you think you are doing what is right or you are doing enough, if your constituents feel abandoned, you are not. That is on you.
You've been talking a lot about getting message out, and I would love to hear your thoughts specifically on how Democrats can do a better job of getting their message out. This is one of my great frustrations, Kat, watching this game being played. And you talk about Democrats always being on their back foot, and Republicans are always on the attack. In your opinion, what can Democrats do better on this front?
I mean, obviously, need a better digital media, like social media strategy. Hiring people that were born essentially with the phone in their hand helps because then it's kind of like a second language. I mean, I posted a very online, like silly joke the other day.
Just held up a newspaper for her to see. Go ahead. But wait a minute. Hold it, Kat.
Okay. There you go. He also has a phone.
Yes.
But like for example, I posted this very online niche joke on the platform Blue Sky the other day, and it would make absolutely no sense to someone who isn't plugged into the internet, and especially like a younger person plugged into the internet. But it resounded with a lot of people my age. We actually raised like $7,000 just on that joke, which was, I think it showed this void that needs to be filled in how parties market to younger people. And I've had some criticism saying I'm being too flippant. I posted a picture of myself in a Pokemon onesie, like Pokemon pajamas that we did a photo shoot in college. And someone was saying, we are in an emergency. You need to be more serious. But I fully agree. This is a serious time. We need to do serious things, but also we need to like lighten up a little bit. We need to have fun and try to find joy and communicate like normal people instead of every post sounding like it went through 10 focus groups because it probably did.
What was the joke? Come on now. Let's do the joke. Let's see if
Okay.
I get it. Go ahead. Tell the joke.
It's not even a joke. It's just a sentence. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I go on trans podcasts that have Pokemon fuck lists. Do you want me to explain it?
Yes.
Okay, so I went on my friend's podcast earlier this week, and she's a trans woman, and like that's pretty much the trans podcast part. And they have a Discord server, which is kind of like almost online community for this podcast, and someone made jokes in there about, you know, the game and the show Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah, of like which Pokemon are the most attractive. Just completely a joke. So anyways, this right-wing dude on Twitter took screenshots of that and then kept replying to people who were supporting my campaign and being like, why would you support her? She goes on trans podcasts with Pokemon fuck lists. And I'm going to tell every senior in Evanston about this. To which I'd say, can I please have a video of that? I desperately want to see you explain that to every senior citizen in Evanston. That's just good content.
No, I guess I have to say this on a tangent within a tangent, and I'll get back to the real serious issues of the day. That is so funny. This is classic MAGA, and this is how they attack. Like there's some, like you've offended people who are so sensitive. Just follow me in this. You think
so
I have a
sensitive.
disparaging view of 9th congressional district voters than what I began with because they just keep voting for the same person over and over again? MAGA thinks they're all like little sugar cubes. You put them in water and they dissolve. They can't handle it.
They're so pathetic. I was like, I have, you know, pictures on my Instagram from college and stuff from when I was a bartender, and there are people posting it being like, this is what she looks like, and she wants free childcare for every family. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And yeah, I'm 26.
But okay, I'm just going to tell you something right now.
Mhm.
It's going to blow that your millennial. No, you're
Tell
not
me.
even. You're Zeus.
I'm like
mind.
a zillennial.
The zillennial. The number one show among baby boomers that you're trying to win over to vote for your 9th congressional is a show called The White Lotus. I'm not making this up. You can look this up, Kat. Every baby boomer in the 9th congressional district is watching that show, and all it is like a soap opera.
I know The White Lotus.
Okay, well,
I know The White Lotus.
I did not mean to assume that you did not know it.
I'm very offended, man.
I know. The point is, I'm watching this show and it's like mild porn. You get what I'm saying? It's not like, it's like soft porn in some ways, you know? And old boomers, they love this stuff, Kat. They're like watching this thing, fantasizing about some young man doing them in bed. And I'm like, you're going to be offended? Like the notion that a boomer in Evanston is going to be offended because of your joke about Pokemon is like,
or like,
yeah.
you know, a picture of me in shorts.
Yes.
Scandalous. Very scandalous.
And yet Democrats get so scared. They're like, oh my God. She's like, what do we do?
I don't look like a congresswoman. Like, what does a congresswoman look like? What if we changed it? What if we thought of a different image of what we want our leaders to be? I really think, I think I want to have someone I can grab a beer with. I think that's kind of cliche, but I do want to have leaders that I seem like I think it'd be fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to think. Once again, you can come meet me. Come to our events. They're all free. And like, we got food and drinks covered for this weekend for sure. We'll see how fundraising goes.
So let me ask you, when you go on social media, do you do your own social media or does?
Oh yeah, my whole social team is me.
Well, okay. So when you do it, do you like think about how the response is, or you just go with what hits you right up there?
I mean, it's a mix. I mean, sometimes I'm a writer too, so I like to think through how I want to present something. But yeah, I mean, especially if it's something funny, I just kind of go for it. I'll show it to my partner and be like, "Hey, this is okay." Or my campaign manager, who sometimes, like when he saw when I posted, I go on trans podcast with Pokemon fuck lists, he immediately texted me and he was like, "Kat, what are you doing?"
He was worried about. He shares that concern about the fragility.
I'm like, you need to get rid of we need to think bigger. I'm trying to break his brain.
No, but I do understand because people are contradiction. So they'll love the sex scenes in White Lotus. Okay, they'll be really getting off on that, but then they'll be like, "Oh, offended." I guess I could see someone will be offended by what was it? You put it on. You didn't put it on X. You put it on Blue Sky. Is that what you said? You put that out there. Where you put it. All right. Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question about X since it popped into my mind. Do you think lefties or whatever you call yourself should go on X?
I mean, I'm posting there for now. I'm sure I'll be banned soon, especially because Elon Musk doesn't like me very much. But I think it's like not worth it. We've raised some money on there, but nothing close to Blue Sky. That's why we're prioritizing Blue Sky in our campaign. Like every time we post something, it goes on Blue Sky first. It's more moderated. It doesn't have ads. It's open source. So I value that transparency. It's a little thing, but social media isn't really optional for campaigns anymore. So by prioritizing Blue Sky, we're trying to do something different.
So in other words, you have to be on X.
I'm not even sure we have to be. I think that it's more of a it lets me keep an eye on like what the right is saying, especially. So that's valuable for me in my campaign specifically.
All right. Because I struggle with this. I just think
It's a wasteland, and I don't
Yeah.
use it as like a scroll through. It's
Yeah.
not a good website.
Yeah. No, it's a tech dog. It's like Tucker Carlson magnified. It's utterly worthless unless you just want to see how they operate. Then it's not. It's revealing, but it's just as a source of information, it's worthless. And I urge all my beloved lefties out there, just get off of it. You need help if you're still on.
I also urge that.
Yeah.
Ideally, like I don't plan to be on there forever for sure.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Elon Musk propaganda operation. You mentioned we talked a little bit that you work for Media Matters.
I do have to bounce in like 5-ish minutes.
Oh no, but I do
I
love how you
know.
said bounce. I mean, I love when people go bounce. That first time I got a bounce, I'm going to start saying that. All right, real fast. Explain how the Musk media counterattack works and how they went after you or at Media Matters and the impact it had on your life. Go. Yeah,
so Elon Musk, one of my colleagues, Eric Hananoki, posted this story about how there were advertisements for big companies like BMW next to just overtly pro-Holocaust content. Elon Musk had a huge temper tantrum when companies were like, I don't like that. I don't want my stuff advertised next to that, and pulled away. He lost his fucking mind. He sued my company in like multiple states and countries. The cost just mounted so much, especially with Discovery, because we're an organization that sends thousands of emails a day, and you have to find anyone that says Musk or Twitter or X or Nazi, and our job is to monitor far-right misinformation. Like the cost just mounted. So they had to lay off 12 people. I was one of them. I started working at Mother Jones or with Mother Jones shortly after that. But then in September, I got a subpoena and was deposed by Elon Musk. I don't know if you know this, but apparently video depositions cost a shit ton of money, which means they spent minimum tens of thousands of dollars to come to Chicago, depose me about an article, which once again, I worked at night. So like I never talked to Eric really ever. Our team was very siloed. I didn't write anything because I was a video editor. They literally just deposed me, in my estimation, I'm guessing, because I probably thought it'd be easy. They're like 25-year-old blonde bimbo or something. But also because I have a big social media following. And I legally can't talk about what happened in that deposition, but it is on tape. And,
Anybody can watch it?
I'm not sure. I think I don't have lawyers, so I have no idea.
You forgot, Kat. You forgot a very essential point, that Elon Musk is dedicated to the principle of free speech.
True. Which is why he bans tons of journalists and flips out all the time, and also has amplified his own account like 300% more than any other. He's a very secure man's man.
Anything before I let you go about with your day that you want to leave our listeners with? Go ahead.
If you want to know more about me and what I believe, you can go to catforillinois.com. That's cat with a K. You can also find on our events tab, our event this weekend, anything else we're doing. And we are powered exclusively by small dollar donors, no corporate cash. So if you got a few bucks to spare and you throw it our way, we'd really appreciate it. I am trying to call as many donors as I can, so you might get a call from me too. And thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
All right. I also want to thank producer Chris. He does an outstanding job. And I know Kat agrees with me when I say, hey, producer Chris, give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. Peace and love, everybody.